What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the PokerNews Podcast. I'm Sarah Herring, joined by Jeff Platt.
Hello.
We are here back in the pavilion, our home, together. We operate
Together
way
again.
way better like this. And a few minutes ago, this room was just empty, which I'm not going to lie, was fantastic. Now, giant cascades, like herds of buffalo in the form of poker players are running into the Rio. But today's, I think, I have to be honest, like in terms of the main event, this is probably my favorite, well, one of my favorite days, I think. When all the players from all the different day ones finally all come together. Everybody who's here, you've seen, all the faces who are going to be there in the end are here now, today, already. 9 players today will eventually be the 9.
Yeah,
Okay.
we had 3 day ones, we had 2 day twos, and here we are, day 3. The field combines, and on day 3 they usually make the money, right? Late on day 3, I think they're expected to make it.
2,800?
Right, 2,800 in the top. I think 1,265 will make the money, so I think they will hit it either later tonight or early tomorrow. But you can feel the buzz. I mean, we're in the pavilion room, which is still kind of the secondary room, quote unquote, to the Amazon where the big TV setup is. But like, look out at this place. It is alive and popping, and it is absolutely jam-packed. Almost a record-setting World Series of Poker main event. Almost.
Okay, so we've got to talk about this. And
Yeah.
actually, this was super interesting for me because doing some of this stuff yesterday and the day before, working on the updates, etc., not having the official numbers until late in the evening yesterday was a first for me.
Oh, yeah.
And although really frustrating, we've all been like anticipating these numbers for so long. I'm going to make a video about it later today just so everybody gets it clear, but let's talk about some of the most exciting numbers to look at.
The biggest number, the one that we were all looking at coming into the series, especially when we last talked, we thought that this main event had a chance to eclipse the record that was set in 2006 with 8,773 entries. It did not eclipse that record. It fell 204 short, so 8,569 players. Good news is, that's a 9% increase over last year.
Wow.
That's a 33% increase versus 2015. Again, it does fall short, but it does allow for a first place prize of $10 million. So that's pretty strong. Everybody at the final table will make at least $1 million. So overall, a really strong turnout. It does, though, fall just short of the 2006 record. So it's the second biggest main event of all time.
But like, we've been talking about the poker boom for ages, and you know how we like, will we ever be able to get back to this time? How do we reignite another poker boom? Online's dead, da 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 da.
Yeah.
Dude, 2019 almost hits 2006. To me, that's, who cares about like crushing the 2006 record? That is so crazy, and it's so hard for me to even understand or account for what's nothing. Online poker's still dead for the most part, except for if you wanted to play global poker, which we will tell you about later because they are our sponsors. But for the most part, in the United States, it is super hard to play online poker. What is happening? Where are all these people coming from? How is poker still like getting 10% increase? What?
Unbelievable. One of these players, Kevin Pollack, who just said what's up to us, he is still alive come day 3 of the main event. You recognize him from the marvelous Mrs. Maisel or Maisel? Whatever that show is, I don't really watch. Also on Billions on Showtime. Anyways, to your point, when you don't have a direct online route like 2006 did, where PokerStars and Party Poker and everybody could just send 8 billion people to the main event. Now, WSOP.com can do that in effect. 888 Poker can do that in effect, but a lot of these other sites cannot bring people to the main. Like if you win a tournament, they'll give you cash, and you just kind of hope that they get there. So without a satellite system like that, to be able to get 8,569 players in a $10,000 tournament in today's day and age, I mean, obviously the World Series of Poker has to be at least a little disappointed that they didn't break the record, especially after that day 1A. But overall, they've got to be thrilled, right?
Okay, so first
Just
of
like
all,
you're thrilled.
I want to say, Robbie, this is an interesting point about Bitcoin, because I was going to say what's interesting too is that if we're looking at like boom points and periods in our economy as a whole, this also is not a boom period in our economy. Like, our economic system is really in a struggle. We're looking at a downturn in the real estate market and a lot of other avenues where people are normally looking to invest. But then that's a lot of times when we see some of the other like the non-fiat systems doing better, taking off. So I know we happen to have been talking a lot about this last year. Potentially, maybe this uptick in crypto is giving people a little more money to spend.
Yeah.
I don't know, but honestly, like, from a lot of the players that I've seen and talked to, even just walking into the Rio this morning, a lot of these players are the players that you want to see in the main event. These rec players, these guys who this was their dream. They're trying to fire at one time. So if it is Bitcoin, I would argue that a lot of the Bitcoin is probably people who are probably going to play the main event anyways. But I might be wrong.
Yeah, I think so too. Maybe Bitcoin increased, made 75 to 100 people decide that they wanted to play the main event this year. And I don't know for sure, just like we both don't know for sure. But it helps that Bitcoin is up. I don't think that made the massive difference. Like, look at all these deep stack fields. The Bitcoin price probably had nothing to do with 6,000 entries in an $800 tournament. I just think the poker world is in really good shape right now, and I think that the World Series over this next year, can do more to get more entries into the main event. I think they can really work on their satellite system throughout the year. Maybe at every circuit stop you can have a $500 satellite to the main that guarantees 2 seats, or just stuff like that, just to build and build and build. Give out seats to your other Caesars properties, let them give some away. I think we have a really good chance at breaking the record next year. I thought we had a really good chance this year, but I think these 2,880 players who are coming back for day 3 are pretty thrilled with the current prize pool.
I love it. Okay, well, we're not going to get so much into the economy, but at first I can't tell if you guys are joking or not. But clearly, like, what's happening in the stock market is one thing. When you have an inverse yield, if you have an inverse yield curve, it means the dollar is, like, probably disintegrating. But either way.
Economy talk is what they would call polarizing in the poker world. Because for some people it's great, for some people right now it's terrible.
Yeah, and I don't care either way, because I make the same amount of money no matter what. And that's what I'm trying to figure out, is that it actually seems like, too, we're looking at all these poker tournaments. We talked to Tony Burns, who we'll throw to in a second, the audio of talking to Tony Burns yesterday, who we know runs he's the tournament director at the Seminole Hard Rock. They're having tournaments. It seems like every month there's big tournaments, both in like the high roller range and also in the lower buy-in range, that are meeting their guarantees, that are crushing what they thought they were going to. And so it's definitely, I think it's not just the main event. Somehow it seems like poker is back, baby.
And I think you have to credit places like Seminole Hard Rock, tours like the WPT Deep Stacks, like the Heartland Poker Tour, like the World Poker Tour, like the World Series of Poker Circuits, for just building interest in the game. And I think when those tours thrive, it's going to translate to the main event of the World Series of Poker.
I love it. Okay, so we have there's so many things to talk about, but I feel like since Bart is bringing this up, I wanted to ask you about this anyways, Jeff. Let's talk a little bit about what the earthquake, let's talk about the earthquake here. I wasn't here. Tons of people were texting me, what's going on? Is everything okay? What happened here? How much could you feel it? Did you notice they shut things down?
We had some craziness on day 1C, to say the very least. Certainly some outside things had a real impact on the attention that we would normally devote to certain storylines. So late in the day, I was at home, I was on the couch, and we had experienced an earthquake the day before.
Right.
It was, I felt my place shake for maybe 5 seconds.
Didn't you say it was your first earthquake? Were you the one that tweeted that? And I was like,
so.
I feel like I had my first one.
I went to school in LA, so I experienced a couple like really small ones.
Okay.
But the one during day 1C, like legitimate house shaking. Have a house, don't mean to brag, but I rent though, so it's not a brag at all. A house legitimately shaking for a good 15 seconds or so.
Stop.
And this place was going nuts, like everything was swinging. Some people were running outside, like all the TV equipment up on the setup in Amazon was moving and moving and moving. It was surreal. It's unbelievable to watch the broadcast during that time, like the production crew, and I got a video of it that somebody texted me. Like, they stayed so calm. It was the perfect storytelling approach that they took, because you could see not only like everything shaking, but then they would cut to certain players' reactions. Like it was very very bizarre, but it was kind of cool that the way they showed this earthquake and the effect that it had.
See, and Donna says watch out for more, which is something I was reading a lot about actually, which is that it's so uncommon for, these are not just like one-offs, right? Really, that especially when you see an earthquake of that magnitude, they tend to have not just like reverberations, but also like sub other earthquakes. This might be also an indicator of a bigger one coming, which is kind of crazy and scary. I was scared. But it's never that bad in Nevada, right? Knock on glass.
Yeah, knock on whatever. And I think there will be an earthquake like afterwards in the next couple days, but the chance of it being bigger is like 1 in 20. So, we could be
gamble,
totally
right?
screwed,
We
but
were
that's
gamblers.
what we do. We gamble. We have a huge edge there, so not worried about it.
I totally missed some of the most exciting drama, which I really need to hear all about. So, and even I was watching the updates from PokerNews, and there was some allusions to these disqualifications going on, but they didn't actually say what happened until I checked out the muck on PokerNews. And I wasn't here. I can't say for sure, but Jeff, give us a little taste of what was going on. Did ESPN capture any of it?
I don't believe ESPN captured of it, and some of it ESPN could definitely not show on television. First of all, Sarah, are you familiar with Georgie?
No.
He plays all the mixed games, I believe. You usually see him in the 10K mixed game championships and the lower limit ones as well.
Yeah.
He was, according to a witness, and again, PokerNews.com for a full account, but just a drunken mess as he sat down at the poker table for his main event. And when he won a pot, he decided that it would be funny to take the chip stack of his neighbor, who was not there, and throw it into his stack. Which, is a no-no, as they would say.
See, and I'm all about, like, drunk, funny jokes, but, that can cause, that's like game integrity. That's
right,
a whole
even,
different thing.
Grabbing somebody's stack and like putting it in front of you to where you can easily put it back is like probably crossing the line, but it's kind of a joke. But like to take somebody's stack and throw it into yours, that's a very, very, very bad sign. So, they call the floor, they check the cameras. Jack Effel leads the security team over there, and it is night to Georgie. That's $10,000. They will keep your money. Thank you very much, and you're disqualified from the tournament. Usually that results in a ban from all future World Series of Poker events. Usually that results in a ban from Caesars properties.
Yeah.
But as with all of these DQs, this one will be put under review. I know Georgie has apologized via Twitter, effectively said that he was a drunken mess, and a couple of very well-respected players, Brandon Shack Harris included, have stuck up for him, not saying what he did was right, but saying that in the future...
it's not his character.
Yeah, right. Let's just open the door for the possibility that this was just a joke gone bad, a drunken joke gone bad, and let him back in. The next guy who was disqualified, I'm pretty sure we will not see him anytime soon around any Caesars properties. That would be one Ken Strauss, who... at the very beginning of the day, right over there in Pavilion Yellow section, he was all in blind, which, hey,
good for you.
That. Yeah, you do what you want with your $10,000 entry. So he was all in blind, and he exposed his hand, which, that's a one-round penalty, sure, no problem whatsoever. It was Queen 3. And then he exposed himself. So, like, his opponent was in the tank, took his shorts off, boxer shorts off, and just, like, fully revealed to the table. Turned around, mooned them, but you could see everything else. A floor person was there. She's like, please stop. He pulled the pants back up. Then he decided to take his shoes off and his socks off. And with the shoe, he just chucked it towards his opponent. The shoe hits the dealer. Again, something that you should not do at a poker tournament. So they play the hand out, and he was ejected from the Rio afterwards. So the security team was fairly busy within the course of like an hour on day 1C. And then later that night, somebody took video of this gentleman, Mr. Strauss, at the Luxor playing a little craps, except he decided to jump up onto a craps table and, again, exposed himself to the crowd and was then ejected from Luxor. I'm sure he spent a couple hours in jail at least. So quite the day.
I have so many questions.
Yeah.
First of all, wow, so many questions. Number one, what happens to these players' chips after they get kicked out of the main event?
The chips that belong to him, quote unquote, are taken out of play.
Just
so it's
like
not like
those
they're
are just
handed out.
minus
They're just
chips.
They're just gone. So like if he had 50,000 left at the time, that's 50,000 less than the first place winner will end up having.
Okay. I mean, that seems reasonable. Okay. I'm just like, this is amazing. First of all, these people are giving bad names to drunk people playing poker.
Sure.
So, I'm sad about that.
Sure.
Number two, I have been banned from some properties, and I happen to have a lot of close friends who have also been banned from some properties, the Rio included. Just word to the wise, if you can get an attorney to write you a letter, things can go away pretty
Do you have any recommendations
quickly.
on it?
Just saying.
Reach out to Sarah privately.
Just saying, I've heard of some things. It's pretty common. A lot of people get kicked out or trespassed from these properties. And the worst part about getting trespassed from the properties is that almost every casino is part of a much larger chain of casinos where then you get kicked out of all of them, which just seems excessive. I mean, come on. But then this guy, I'm impressed that he was able to stay awake long enough to make it from here to the Luxor and still be raging. Like, he must also have some stimulants or something, because that's a long time to be that drunk.
And
that drunk.
There was a picture of him at Aria in the middle. Like, I think he played the Aria daily tournament.
What?
So he gets ejected from here, goes over to Aria, fires off, loses, goes to the Luxor, and just goes ham.
Wow. Okay, this is amazing. So those were the first two qualifications, and since then we've been it's been pretty mellow.
After 2 DQs and an earthquake, I think we got back to the actual main event of the World Series of Poker.
Yeah.
And some players who have kind of, shined in that. I mean, there's still a long way to go. But we have some familiar names towards the top of the counts. We have Nguyen with a big stack. Galen Hall. Nguyen. Anton Morganstern, and we know his history with the main event, and more specifically his main event blow-ups. He has a lot of chips. Anthony Spinella, Brian Yoon, no surprise that Brian Yoon has a big stack in a big no-limit hold'em field. And then we have some champs hanging around. Cynn has bagged up a nice stack. Our guy from the 10K Juice to 7, whose banner we see, Jim Bechtel, is still in. Johnny Chan, the master. Scotty Nguyen is holding on a little bit of chips. We do say good game to a pretty strong list. Daniel Negreanu, Chris Ferguson, Phil Galfond, Farah Galfond busted the next day. Stephen Chidwick, Ryan Riess, Justin Bonomo, Scott Blumstein, Fedor, Patrik Antonius, Barstool Nate, Barstool Smitty. Like, we've seen Ray Romano busted, and I saw Ray yesterday playing in the $200 deep stack event over by Guy Fieri's restaurant. Just who loves it more, right?
Wow. These guys just never stop, okay?
Right.
Never stop. These are true gamblers who really love the game. Jeff, unfortunately, though, as you can tell, is sitting here beside me as the event gets started. What happened? Let's talk a little bit about what went down.
It was a blast. My day one table was a lot of fun. I lost a couple of hands that sucked to lose. I won't bore y'all with the details. I entered day 2 with 11K, and the whole time I'm thinking, you just got to have chips in the main, and then you never know. I was Norman Chad's sleeper pick for the day 1A field, so I was inspired by that, motivated by that. I come on day 2, second hand, look down at the ace queen of hearts. That's pretty. Guy next to me raised. I said, I'm all in for 11,000. Folds back to him. He thinks about it, which is also pretty. Finds the call with the ace jack of diamonds. The flop comes queen of diamonds, 9 of hearts, 3 of diamonds. I'm like, please hold, no diamond. The turn was the king of hearts. It's like, please hold, no diamond or 10 that's not a heart. And the river was the 5 of diamonds. And on the second hand of the day, I said, deuces to the main event. That was my main event experience. But I did have a blast. Very fortunate to play in this tournament. It's my favorite tournament by a mile. It is the greatest poker tournament in the world. Not meant to be for me this year. It is fun.
So first of all, we made it to a dinner break. Then we made it to a day 2.
Yeah, first one in the summer.
And
Don't mean to
now
brag.
you got some chips all up in that one drop.
Oh, yeah. So always, just like I did last year, You bust the main event, and you're like, ugh, I hate poker. I'm never going to play again. And then the next day, you're like, oh, cool, the one drop's going on. I'll fire off the little one for one drop. So I fired that off, put like $230K in the bag going into day 2. So, forget about this main event. It's all about the little one for one drop.
Yeah, and also I'm unofficially calling it the WSOP main event consolation tournament.
Yes, that's a perfect way to phrase it.
And I have to say, honestly, I don't know how these people do it who work in the hallways, but I spent yesterday with TD Tony B in the halls, and basically everyone that was busting the main who was devastated was popping by the booth while we were there to give their sad story. And it's incredible to me because for everybody who plays poker and knows poker, we all know that nobody cares about your bad beat story. But in the main event, for some reason, everybody does think that you actually do care. I want to give you guys a little taste of that. For those who are watching with us live, you will miss it, but you can go check. It was the Facebook Live I did yesterday with Tony Burns. For those who are listening, let's go right now to TD Tony B, Tony Burns from the Hard Rock Seminole. Boom.
Thank you, Donna.
Listen, this is a yerba mate. It's not an energy drink. It's a tea from South America.
Got no caffeine, right?
No, it has caffeine. Yeah. It's carbonated. I've looked it up, though. It's
This is an energy drink.
That's an energy drink. This is basically, it has half the caffeine of a coffee. But I have had coffee. It's like the only thing you're allowed to have. You can't have anything in this life anymore. It's crazy. But the baby's growing, so don't be afraid. It's gigantic. All right, so...
PokerNews Podcast night?
Yeah, well, I want to talk a little. Does it matter? So I want to return, but for the audio portion, I want it to be an unawkward cut. So
cool.
Well, we will more than likely get back with TD Tony B soon to talk a little bit more about what's going down in Florida. But in the meantime, Jeff, so we don't actually have the official numbers from the little one. We will let you guys know. We'll keep you posted on the little one for one drop as Jeff gets closer and closer to making his $500,000 and smoke bombing on the Poker News podcast. But a couple people were talking a little bit in the chat, and we all know my thoughts and opinions on the, like the obsession with getting women into poker. Some people mentioned that there are, in fact, more women this year in the main event, but that it's still a relatively small amount. I'm going to go back to some of those comments, but do you want to just give us some of those numbers, Jeff?
Yeah, sure. So I think last year was around the 3.5% mark as far as women playing in the main event, and this year it's up to a little over 4%. So any increase is a good increase, of course. It wasn't some massive, overwhelming, crazy turnout, but that's a pretty big growth when you compare it to, 3.5%. And what's 0.5% of 3.5%? Like 1/7. That's more than like a 10% rise as far as women in the field are concerned. So if it goes up every year, that's good. As Michael says, 350 players, so that's up 16% from last year. But still very low. As far as what can be done, I know Sarah's been asked this question 456,402 times, and there's obviously not like a blatant answer that lies out there that will solve
This is my
everything.
answer. If women wanted to play, they would.
Yeah.
Why is there not more men doing ballet? I don't know. Maybe it's social stigma, or maybe they just don't want to. I'm not sure, but I just generally have the feeling that we live in like a pretty incredible world in this day and age, and that like if women were super interested in playing poker, literally nothing would stop them except for that they don't like it, or it's not that fun for them, or they don't have that good of an experience. I also think that women are just naturally, and this is very, very, people will say I'm sexist, I don't care. I think we're naturally more security oriented. I think we have budgets. We know our finances very clearly. We want to make sure that we are provided for and that we're going to be safe for. I think men are just naturally more gamblers. They want to go out into the field and murder all the animals, and then we want to store and save the foods for our families. I'm sure this is unpopular, but again, I just think it's I don't think there's anything in 2019 keeping women from playing poker other than that they just don't like the experience.
Yeah, but you'd agree there are some routes where if we quote-unquote got lucky, that would help. If a woman made the final table, if a woman won the World Series of Poker main event, naturally you would see an avenue towards a much bigger increase in next year's field. I mean, the 1K ladies championship, as they call it, had a strong increase. Now, re-entries were allowed this year, so that obviously had something to do with it. But it's certainly not on the decline, it's on the incline. But to your point, there's only a certain amount of incline that's available for this market to hit.
And I, for one, there was another sort of section of talking about the age groups, right, and what the big gaps are in the age groups. And it's also, I think, having children, I'm experiencing it at this moment, so maybe I'm just thinking about it more, but it is a genetic sort of thing that befalls women and not men, where if you got to get daycare in order to go play, or you've got to, find some way that you can't bring your kids into a casino. So I do think there's just probably less availability for women in some senses. Maybe they're just busy with stuff. They got to take their kiddos to the pool or something.
Maybe that's it, and that's why they don't play poker.
But we just had a female winner. I was so excited.
Yeah, for the Salute to Warriors event.
Yes.
That's right. That was awesome.
She was adorable.
And we had another lady finish second in the mini-main event. Mm-hmm. And she was just absolutely awesome. So, it's been a good summer for the women of this game.
I know there's going to be another woman champion. Unfortunately, it's not going to be in a bracelet event. But the PokerNews Podcast Family Hangout is happening tonight at the Planet Hollywood at 7 p.m. You guys are more than welcome to join. It's a $120 tournament with a $30. It's a $150 tournament.
Just
okay,
call it that.
$30 are going to the Planet Hollywood dealers or wherever it goes. But there's going to be giveaways. We've got bounties. We're going to have a ball. We're going to have tons of fun. People are probably going to get drunk, but not as drunk that they get naked on the tables, I hope, right?
I think that will happen. But you
Jeff
never know.
maybe, though. I don't know.
I don't think that'll happen. We will have to drink since you cannot drink, so
Yeah.
we'll drink in Sarah's honor for sure this evening. So again, Planet Hollywood, 7 p.m. Come on down. Even if you don't want to play, if you just want to come hang out with all of us and have some cocktails, then come on down. Expecting a very fun night. Jamie and Chad kind of did this last year at Treasure Island for the LFG podcast, and we just decided to merge them all together this year. Great turnout last year. Expecting the same this year. Maybe some special guests. And let's put a $50 bounty on Sarah.
What?
$50.
Pump the brakes, dude. Pump the brakes.
$50.
This is already expensive. I already told my husband that the CEO of our company is playing the main, so I had to buy a little piece of that action, be a team player.
Yeah.
Then we got to put $150 into this tournament.
Right, but I'm putting up the 50 for
I
your
know,
bounty.
how rich. Oh, I know why. Because you're about to win that one drop.
Right. That's the only reason.
You have
Just
all
because
the
I
money.
bagged, in the one drop, yeah.
Yeah, okay,
because
good.
it's like I know I'm going to win.
It's not like you know you have
$50
in your bank account.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
exactly. So we'll be good.
Michael wants to know, is it the same margin with men and women in the online poker community? And I think that's a fantastic question. And actually, it's very difficult at least from my experience so far in the media, the online poker companies are extremely protective of their information about players, and even I was looking for some demographics and analytics about this time last year to just help with video content creation. What type of players should I be trying to make video content for? And basically no one will give you any information, so I actually don't have that answer. It is a great question, though, and if I were to guess, I would think that probably more women would be playing online. It does feel safer somehow, and the stakes are a little bit easier to manage. I think I very often would put like $100 in my online bank account and play like $5 sit and goes, which somehow just seems easier. And I happen to know quite a few women poker players who are able to, with their children, for example, with cooking dinner, with all this stuff, jump in an MTT or sit and go and just get it going. Speaking of, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Global Poker. Global Poker is the home of online poker in America, thanks to their massive weekly tournament schedule and the chance to win through their jackpot sit and goes with more than 1 million registered players in the United States. If you are not playing on Global Poker, you are missing out. Head to www.globalpoker.com and set up your account today. And I actually have not done this yet, which is like ridiculous, but you did try, right, Jeff?
Yeah, I played on
But you're allowed to play on WSOP.com too, huh? You're allowed to play all over town.
Right. In Nevada, it's easier. You have more options. But elsewhere where online poker is not legal, then you can jump on globalpoker.com.
Get that
Have
sweepstakes
yourself
going.
a good time. Yeah, get that sweepstakes cash.
Yeah. All right. So, man, I feel like I'm missing all these comments in the chat. I don't know, you guys. I don't want to miss anything. Is there anything while I'm going through it, Jeff, that is important that we should talk about? Oh, today, there's a ton of stuff going on today, isn't there? The 50K
Today
high
the
roller
final
starts?
50,
Yeah.
which is a big 50K high roller. I think they'll get a pretty decent crowd for that, maybe 100 to 150 players. So
especially since everyone, like a lot of the big players already busted the main.
Right. And there can be like, I can play the 1K little one with a billion people, or I can go play the 50K high roller. They're probably choosing the 50K. So that should be interesting. I think we should note that Phil Hellmuth busted the main in entertaining fashion yesterday. He bluffed off almost all his stack. He got snap called by King 9 on a 10-9, 6-6-7 board. Hellmuth shoved river, and this guy just snapped.
Dude, who is this guy? A soul reader?
He's a mid-major grinder, I think, and is recognized as a very good player.
Wow.
His name is Ku Vang, and that was impressive. And Hellmuth went off, of course.
Yes.
Hellmuth, he said, I blame this on me, but while he was taking shots at the other guy, so he's like, I should never bluff off my chips to this rank amateur. He would phrase it like that, to where he was really taking shots at this guy. He did kind of sort of apologize at the end of the day and, again, blamed himself some more. But typical Phil fashion, and he is out of the main event.
You just got to know, it's just Phil. Well, I doubt it, but maybe he'll just find it in him to fire the final 50.
Maybe. I think that's very possible.
All right, here we go. I'm just going to throw this out here for Jeanette. Doyle Brunson he has not been playing WSOP tournaments since last year. He does still play. He's in the Bellagio from time to time, where he has more sort of control over his own schedule, where he can play when and if he wants. But in the most beautiful, doily way, he said that his wife is sick and he wants to spend time with her, and he's not going to just come sit here for 12 hours when he wants to be with his wife. Good man. Texas forever.
Good man. And he was here at the awards banquet for the World Series of Poker. So, like you said, he's playing here and there, and he's keeping his eye on the game.
That's my boy. That's a good spot to let it go, right? Do we have anything else important we need to kick off today?
I think that's perfect.
Great.
Congrats to Sean Buchanan for taking down his first World Series of Poker bracelet. He won the online event yesterday, the $800 Six Max. So again, that's another name we removed from the list of best players to have never won a bracelet.
What? I was just going to say, yeah, my guess for what this summer is loses big time, because that is absolutely, this is what that summer has been. And actually that it was Brandon Adams who won the last online main event. It's interesting to see these sickos sitting at home playing on WSOP.com during the WSOP schedule. Wow, good for him. Oh, I bet he'll have a bracelet today. Then I better go get ready and read up on that.
Get that interview.
Gotta get that interview. All right, guys. Well, we appreciate it. Of course, as always, we'll have all the action for you. Depending on what's going on with Jeff, we'll be here Wednesday, right?
Yes, we'll be here Wednesday for sure.
Even if it's before play and you're
that'd be fun.
I don't want to take too much time out of your life.
Day 3?
Woo-hoo, get it. All right, guys, we'll catch up next time. Thank you so much to our sponsors, Global Poker and Deuces. Sorry, Michael, we'll have to do it next time. Dang it.